Well, welcome everyone. This is Dale Lakeman, and this is live. Thank you for joining in. Watch my documentary, A Walk Through Hell. A single complaint leads to a continuous harassment by a gang of RCMP members and friends who target an individual in a small town, harassed by RCMP in Saskatchewan. And Saskatchewan justice, of course, is in collusion with that. We've already gone over those kind of situations. But this happens to be officer, corporal. So he's not naive, or he has knowledge of how things work inside his radio, and what it can do. And he harassed me. There's no question about that. And I complained about him. This is what happened after I complained. My neighbors harassed me. They threatened me on Facebook Live. They recorded it. That was after I complained about Keith Kosher. And they said, even during the Facebook Live, that they were indeed filming me, which I said, well, you have no right to film me, blah, 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 which, because I didn't know anything about filming, because I had no intention of public filming anyone except for the police, and I knew they had no rights. So I had no intention to film anyone. They intended to film me, and intended, because it came right out of their own mouths, live on Facebook, which I wish I would have had the link to, but I never got the link. Lots of people saw it. Lots of people laughed. They joined into the shit stream that they created. Keith Kosher saw the video. Reverend Alan Guerin saw the video. He knew the video, and he watched the video. Everybody, a lot of people knew about the video. Nobody told me about the video. But I knew the video existed. I just didn't go and watch it right away, and I should have watched it and recorded it myself. But I didn't think to go to the Facebook and record it and do it, right? I didn't think about doing that. There was no really, because I didn't have intent to cause any kind of mayhem with anyone at all. Not my neighbors and not Keith Kosher. I just intended to complain and follow suitable procedures of the Complaints Commission and do what the Complaints Commission told me to do to resolve my complaint, no matter who it was that was coming and talking to me, or somebody by email, etc., about my complaint. And so that's the facts. That's what the complaint is. And that's how this channel started. And that's what the deal is here. No matter what anyone, Keith Kosher makes excuses for his behavior, because a deliberate act admitted by the belligerent person is illegal and would be deemed as such to be illegal. So if someone deliberately, a police officer deliberately bullies someone, and it's obvious to a lot of people, no matter who they are, and it's not ever admitted, then he'll get away with it. If he ever, or anyone of his friends or anyone, admits that it was wrong, then you can't get away with it. And the ombudsman was the only one officer, an analyst, I guess, an analyst in the ombudsman office, is the only one that's admitted that the RCMP committed illegal acts against me, because he finally saw the deliberate act of belligerence on behalf of people, and he recognized it as the health department. But the health department people are just bullies. The doctor was a bully. The doctor threatened me with needles. He threatened me physically with violence. Threatened me. They threatened me to keep me detained against my will and treat me in a medical facility for no reason other than the fact that somebody else was bullying me, and somebody else bullied me, and somebody else bullied me. So a bunch of them bullied me, and I'm just a person, but I have yesterdays and I have todays. lots of them. I have lots of future ahead of me. I have lots of future, lots of past behind me. That's the way my life goes. And I have been in the education system, which creates, puts you into the system. If you don't fit in, you get kicked out of the system. So gangsters are like that. People are like that. If you understand that kind of thing, then you understand it. But if you understand schoolboy bullying, then you'll understand this guy right here, Keith Kosher. He's a schoolboy bully. That's exactly the way life is for the guy. He never grew up. He grew up in a very protected atmosphere. This guy here is the exact same thing. He grew up in a very protective atmosphere. I didn't grow up with any protections around me. I grew up with all the wolves at my door and nipping at me, taking bites off me. So I know these guys. They're bullies. This guy's a bully. This other guy, he's a bully. They're both bullies. I know them. I'm not stupid. I don't just read cartoons. I read more than comic books in my lifetime. But I have read comic books. So I understand these guys because they're comic book heroes. That's what they chose to be. They're RCMP. They're comic book heroes. That's what RCMP are, comic book heroes. So we're going to get over that right now. But this is a fact here, is that everybody has rights. When you have the right to complain, that's what I did. I complained. And they gang stalked me. They harassed me. Whether you believe it or not, it's up to you and your experience, right? It's up to you and your experience. That's a fact, but it's true. You can watch my documentary. It explains a lot more about my facts. But in the meantime, this is what we're focusing on right now, is the fact that the Complaints Commission told me to go over after I complained about this Keith Kosher guy harassing me. This guy. I complained about this Keith Kosher guy harassing me. And then the Complaints Commission, and I complained about this guy harassing me and driving me off the road. This guy driving me off the road and harassing me. When I complained about him, it was the Sims no noise complaint. I'm not going to go over that here. But when I complained about him, the Complaints Commission told me, go over to this white BMW. Do you know where this guy lives? And I said, I kind of know where he lives. He drives down the road and goes down by the church. And they said, well, that's not really the address. And I said, okay, well, what do you want me to do about it? Because I talked to him on the phone, and I actually have an email or a letter. I think I probably have a letter, but I definitely have an email somewhere on one of my accounts, one of my email accounts that I specifically use, and I think I know exactly which one it is. It's my email that I use for the Complaints Commission. It's a complaints email. That's what the address is. Actually, now that I remember, that is where I have that email. So I have the email or a letter, and a letter too, I think, believe both even. Most likely both, because I always ask for both. But I have one or the other, for sure, absolutely, recorded. And they have it recorded anyway. So if they can't provide it, then they can't provide it. That's the way it is. They'll say it doesn't exist because they can't provide it. Well, that's fine. But it does exist. They told me to go over, and if you know where this guy lives, I said he lives down by the church. They said, well, that's not specific enough. I said, okay, well, I'm just telling you, that's who it is. It's the guy. It's the RCMP kid. That kid, the guy with the blonde hair and the haircut. I said, he's got a pompadour. And if you see him in this picture, even, he has a pompadour. It's true. There's no question about that. His hair is always nicely done. Well done. He's well deportment. And so he lived down the street. So I thought, okay, well, they told me, just walk over there. You don't have to be intrusive. Just walk by and write down the license number. So I went over, and I actually took a picture of his license number, and I know I have it somewhere. And I sent it to him, and I told him the license number. I said, "Here's the license number. This is the BMW that drove me off the road, and that's Sims. That's the guy that came over and said that I was used a laser pointer, pointed a laser pointer at him, and then he said that I was revving up my motorcycle." And that's what the complaint was revving up the motorcycle, and the fact that he drove me off the road, and the fact that he said about the laser pointer. So all that was included in the complaint, but all that Neil Meyer was talking about was the fact that he came over and harassed me for the no noise complaint. But the complaint was all about all that stuff where he almost killed me, and then I had the GoPro and I recorded him because I was putting in the complaint about that he almost killed me, because I phoned the RCMP with his license number then. And they were like, well, that's, they were like, what? And I said, that's an RCMP. So then anyways, so they told me to go over and get the license plate numbers. And so I went over to Sim's house and I got his license plate number because I didn't know where he lived. So I just walked down the road and I saw he lived at the end by the church. He lived down there, and I went like, oh, okay, by the health center, because I walked down by the church, and I'm like, he went down this way by the church. So I just kept walking straight to the end, and I looked down the street, and there was a white car parked like 2 blocks away, a block away, and I saw the white, and I said, well, that looks like a white vehicle. That could be an RCMP car. But when I walked up, it was the BMW, and it was parked there in the driveway with the license plate facing onto the street. So I didn't have to go and walk and look behind, you know what I mean, into the yard or anything. I didn't trespass. I walked by on the street and saw the license plate number and reported the license plate number. And the other thing that the gentleman was talks about is the fact that I complained about those people filming me. Well, that's right. I complained about my neighbors. I phoned the RCMP, and you can see that. Darn it, I should have loaded that one up. I could have loaded that one up. It's a short video. But about the RCMP, about the neighbors across the street coming over and threatening me and harassing me. And so KOSIOR talks about that. And he says, you didn't like that. I didn't like that. Well, no, the only reason I didn't like that was because they threatened me. And I told him, I said, they threatened me because of Keith KOSIOR. And I said, yeah, that's why I didn't like that. But see, he doesn't let me talk. He talks right over me. He doesn't let me say, yeah, because they were threatening me. But I had already said that. I had already said I'd like to put in the complaint. And he says, oh, come down and we'll take care of that. No, that's not what it was about. If I would have complained about my neighbors then, KOSIOR would have harassed me then. He was in the mood to charge me with a false traffic stop, and that's what it was. My neighbors, he created a false impression that I created a disturbance in the gas station, and so all the charges that you see here that he drove over here to charge me with were laid by Constable Jones, but Constable Jones never presented the papers to me. But they were signed off by Constable Jones, not by KOSIOR. But KOSIOR chased me down the highway because he was stalking me. He was sitting down the street waiting for me. It wasn't Jones, even though these were Jones charges, which were false, and they were dropped, except for the one traffic ticket, which even the Reverend was shocked. The Reverend was shocked that the judge ruled against me in that traffic ticket. He was shocked because the Reverend got up and actually gave statement contrary. The Reverend gave a statement contrary to Gary and Lorna. And then the Reverend was shocked that he wasn't believed by the judge, is what you could presume. But he wasn't believed by the judge. See, his credibility was questioned right there. And so on the way home, he was sitting there. You could tell that he was fucking going like, what the fuck just happened? Dale is getting harassed. No matter what my life is right now, and today, yesterday, tomorrow even, people that do a deliberate act to a person, that have a badge, and then the belligerent act is continued, deliberately carried forth against them. That's what Tony Guerin called a travesty of justice. And so this is a fact that there's a travesty being committed. No matter who gets murdered, it's true that that's a fact, that they would kill me rather than admit the deliberate act of belligerence on behalf of this guy right here, Keith Kosher, who harassed me for years and years for no reason, created stress in my life. I could have been like Tony Guerin, then is the name that comes up into my mind there. And it's true. I could have been an attorney general, a lawyer, if I would have went to university. But the other thing is, I could have been like Charles Bork. No, Richard Bork. No, Justin Trudeau. I could have been just like Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada. But they all think that you're mad at them. And when you're mad at them, obviously I am mad at them. There's no question about that. But I'm not like them. You see how he's got his puffy vest out and he's got his thumbs hooked in there and he's smiling. You know, you see how they act. You see how they act. You know, they're all like stuffy chest and all pompadour and all like important looking because they feel that way. And they're important. They've done some good things. Maybe I'll give everybody credit for being good because that's what I would expect. And I give everybody credit for changing. But when you don't, you don't. And this cocksucker, his name is Keith Kosher, he harassed me. And then he lies about what I say right here in this video.
And Dale, like
it's 32 seconds
before,
long.
I'll tell you again, I know you've been spotted driving past or walking past the members' houses and stuff like that and filming them when they're off duty. And we've consulted with our Crown Prosecutor, and if it continues and you continue to put this stuff on Facebook and YouTube or whatever you're putting it on, then you could be charged with criminal harassment, okay? It's the same thing you didn't like when other people filmed you the other day in town. Then why do you think that other people want you to film them and put it on Facebook and YouTube? And Dale, like I told you before, and I'll tell you again, I know you've been spotted driving past or walking past the members' houses and stuff like that and filming them when they're off duty. And we've consulted with our Crown Prosecutor, and if it continues and you continue to put this stuff on Facebook and YouTube or whatever you're putting it on, then you could be charged with criminal harassment, okay?